Recording.
You didn't start recording yet. I just sent you the request to record. It's recording now.
Okay, great. Well, let me start over again. Greetings, everyone. This is Georgette Mayo. I am a processing archivist at the Avery Research Center for African American History and Culture, and also the facilitator of the Dr. Consuela Francis Reading Circle. We're celebrating 10 years this year, 2016. And we have a lot of exciting things happening. And I'm really excited for the Dr. Consuela Francis month, which is April. We celebrate her birthday month, which is April. And this is long awaited and long planned. But Dr. Susanna M. Morris, the author of Positive Obsession, The Life and Times of Octavia E. Butler, has confirmed as of yesterday evening that she will be our guest author at Avery, and we are also going to be doing it hybrid. We're going to begin at 6 p.m. on Thursday, April the 16th. And more information as far as pre-registration will be up. I'm determined that it will be up by Monday, but I'm hoping to get it done by tomorrow. So that's something really that we're really excited about. We also have upcoming our book presentation of Pretty Little Brick on Wednesday, March the 25th at 6:30 via Zoom. You didn't need to read the book because the book is hard to get. That's why it's a presentation. And we are going to have authors from that book. It's a collaborative from the women from the Free Black Women's Library in Brooklyn, New York, my home. And I'm doing an archival brown bag presentation on Tuesday, March the 31st at noon. It's a brown bag, so please bring your lunch. And I will be talking about Everyone Has an Archive, organizing and inventorying the treasures you own. So I'm going to go a little bit beyond the paper documentation and the photographs because I think we talk about them ad nauseum. But I also consider that everybody has a collection, whether it's small, whether it's large, how to organize them, do some research on what you think is valuable and important to be able to inventory what you have. So I'll show you some various different ways to do that during this discussion. And, if you attend, it's going to be at Avery at noon, but we're also going to have it via Zoom. So we're going to record it. So if you can't make it to Avery, we'll be able to look at it at your own leisure. And so the pre-registration link is in the chat. And finally, and let me go back to Everyone Has an Archive. I think this is very appropriate considering we're going to be talking about the book Good Dirt, and one of the main I consider the main character is Old Mo, and it's a family treasure that was destroyed. So uh, I think what we're the archival session will be of importance in regards to that. And finally, a free program at the Gibbs Museum of Art, inspired by Revelations, the Art of Leo Twiggs, which is an exhibit that is now present at the Gibbs. And what is also of interest is that they will be discussing one of my favorite books and one that we talked about last year, last May, if I'm not mistaken, in the Dr. Consuela Francis Reading Circle by Imani Perry. And it's Black and Blues, and they will be having a free discussion in regards to that. So that will be on Saturday, April the 4th from 10:30 to noon. And we have our illustrious director, Dr. Tabara Butler, joining us. And let me see, I have one more. Okay, has everybody been able to see the announcements in the chat? Dana, have you opened up the chat to see if there's any announcements? because Carly said that she couldn't see them. Anybody else? If you open up your chat, because I have the information, the time, the dates, and the links.
No, I can't see the chat in the chat.
Yes,
Oh no.
I can't see anything in chat either.
Okay,
You might
so
you may have to reshare it after because there's nothing, it's empty for me. So I don't know if people who come in later can see it. So I don't know if you try sharing it one more time if they can see it now.
I'll copy and paste it to reshare it for you, Miss Mayo.
oh bless you. I already let me see. I already have. Okay, can you see the great news?
Woo!
Yes.
Yes.
I see
Okay,
that
great.
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Okay. This is a this will be the third time that I did it because I did it before we started the Zoom chat. I mean, at the actual Zoom recording, just so I could cut and paste and put it in. So Dania was able to see it, but now everybody else can see it. So Zoom, do better. AI, do better. Well, let me go ahead and get started. We are going to be discussing Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson, and I always start off with her bio or the author's bio. Charmaine Wilkinson is a Caribbean American writer who has lived in Jamaica and Italy. Her latest novel is Good Dirt, a USA Today bestseller. Her debut novel, Black Cake, is a New York Times bestseller, a Read with Jenna book club pick, and the basis for the Hulu Disney screen series of the same name. Charmaine is a former news and communication professional whose award-winning short fiction has appeared in various anthologies and magazines. Now, before I begin, I have gotten the questions before. How do I go about picking what we're going to be reading? Um, this one was, to me, when I found out that it was about a enslaved potter, I originally thought of the potter that I knew, the real life potter that lived in Edgefield, South Carolina, named Dave the Potter. And I used to, when I was a grad student, I worked at the McKissick Museum, which is part of the USC in Columbia. And unfortunately, they closed the museum, but one of their major exhibits was putting on the exhibit the life and works of the enslaved African American potter Dave. And let's show this. This is the catalog of Dave the Potter. And what was so noted about his work is because he did inscribe his work, and he inscribed it with his name. And of course, for what you read and probably for what you know in history, it was against the law that enslaved people could learn how to read and write. So needless to say, he did this in secret. And it wasn't until years later that people discovered him and the work that he's done. And he's pretty prolific, and there's several books that's written about him. There's another one called Carolina Clay. So by, I don't have the jacket cover on it, but it's called Carolina Clay, and I am looking for the author, The Life and Legend of the Slave Potter Dave by Leonard Todd. So that was what interests me about this particular book, and that, of course, the Freeman family is a this is a fictional story. Who would have been Dave in real life is Moses in this book. And if you've read the book, if you didn't read the book, I'm not going to hold it against you, but there will be spoilers. So just be prepared. it's worth the read, regardless of the spoilers that you'll find out about. But it's an expansive book, and we're just going to start talking about it. Now. Before I start with the questions, is everybody able to see all four announcements in the chat? It should be about next month, starting with great news about Suzanne Morris and going down to the Gibbs Art Museum. Is everybody able to see it?
Yes, I see all
Yes.
four.
Okay, great. Okay. So I'm looking forward. This is, as I said, this is an expansive novel. It's a good novel. It goes back and forth in time and space, but it's set. I think there's a lot of themes set in this book. And one of them, the most startling one, is I guess you could call it the foundation, is the death of the son of the Freemans, Basil, otherwise known as Baz, and Ebby, his sister, his 10-year-old sister, witnessed the killing of her brother, her beloved brother Baz. So I'm quoting from the book. It says there was the moment before, and there would be everything after. So prior to the shooting, the flashbacks of Baz and Ebby childhood depicted them as carefree siblings with a strong foundation and bond. How does this before and after mentally shape the way Ebby sees her life? And don't be shy, this is open to everyone that read the book.
I think before she had just a carefree, fun childhood, but after, everything that she did up until adulthood was from the lens of the loss of her brother.
Anyone else? And how do you, and let me complicate this question a little bit more. How do you think it was magnified? Because several chapters in, she's getting ready to get married, or so she thinks. So do you think that magnifies her loss of years ago? Because this is something traumatic. His death, he was shot. And the reason why he was shot, not because of him per se, but what the invaders came into their house for.
I think, yes, it was magnified. The loss was magnified by the fact that she felt a level of guilt because she did not immediately call 911. And then later, when she finally had the conversation with Henry about, why he actually left her at the altar, a part of it was because of how difficult he thought it would be to actually be with her, just from the standpoint of how heavily the grief weighed on her on a daily basis.
So we're dealing with trauma throughout, and particularly initially. But then when Henry comes to be part of her life or not, it complicates things. And I feel that I don't know about y'all, but I have strong feelings about Henry. But I want to hear what y'all think. And I'll start with this. Secrets can be dangerous.
The last thing I want to mention is, if you want to, you can go to.
So
Ms.
I
Meyer,
think
It's
I'm
hard that
oh,
you have so many spoilers and we're jumping from the beginning to the end, back
not
and forth.
necessarily, not necessarily.
By some of the spoilers you're saying is kind of jumping to the end because you don't know a lot of those things until you get further into the story.
But initially, Henry had that secret that he didn't tell her.
But we had no
Why?
idea.
Say that again.
You had no idea he had that secret at the beginning.
I take it that his non-disclosure of why he didn't marry her was a secret.
He just seemed like a jerk. You had no idea until halfway through, at least halfway, more than halfway probably, that he had a secret. And he would just felt like he blamed it more on her instability and that she was so heartbroken and traumatized and that every night basically she was having nightmares or going through something about Boz. You know, that's how it was kind of the Caesar kind of laid that way that he felt more about not being able to handle her instability and her emotional trauma with her brother more so than the Potter. I mean, than the Big Mo. You know, you didn't find that out until later that that was a part of
No. And I
why.
wasn't even when I said what I meant by secret, I wasn't even thinking about what happens later. Maybe in that term that wasn't the right thing, but to me, I felt that he was still keeping secrets and more so he was admitting to himself until way later. But just the idea, I mean,
Mm.
how did you give him the benefit of the doubt
No,
initially when you found out that he stood her up, Abby at the altar?
no, he was a jerk. He's still a jerk.
Well, I definitely agree with that.
I don't know. I think this it was a great book. I really loved it, but I thought a part of it turned into a romance novel, which was a little kind of got off track, but I liked it overall.
Well, no,
But
expand about the romance novel. I
it just
mean,
got a little too much into the romance. It seemed too romancy. I don't know. The story went a little off track to me.
it did to me.
The France
Yeah.
part was very interesting little turn, but then it got a little too much.
When did you feel that? I know I'm picking on you, Dana. When did you feel that it was getting too much?
The back and forth with the Avery and the Robert and the
In
it was
France?
hmm and then her going back and not telling her parents on the phone. It just got a little too that part got eh, too many romance details.
I didn't even think romance.
I really it really was about Big Mo.
Right. I mean, that to me, that was the best character.
yeah.
Moses
Hmm.
and Willis, the
Yes.
enslaved,
Hmm.
and what Big Mo meant to the family.
That part brought it all back together. I thought that was really a great part of the story, and and too, the grandma was really a great character.
Which one? The one towards the
Um,
end?
his mother,
Yes.
Yes, Moses's daughter, granddaughter. Wait, let's see. Freeman's wife, right? Friedman's wife. What's her name?
You know,
Yes.
So
Yes. No, her name wasn't.
that's
No, not
Ed's
Show
So,
was the
wife.
wife. Oh,
so,
you're right. That's Ed's wife.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so SOH.
His mother,
Right.
Friedman's mother, I thought was a great character. The attorney, right?
So was the attorney.
Oh no,
Who
I'm
was
sorry. She was a
his
professor.
mother?
Professor,
His mother was a librarian.
right?
Ed's mother. Yeah, I know.
It was really good. I'm so sorry. I read 2 books since then. But it was really great. I just thought the romance part was a little mushy.
That, so, Miss Myers, what did you think? Thank you, Dana. I'm looking forward to more comments from you. But I know Miss Myers always has something important to say.
Oh, wow. I think it was centered more around Abby than anything else. But yes, Big Moore, Omar was the main character in the part of the book. But Abby's life and it evolved around Big Omar, and everything that happened in the book was based on Abby's side.
Now, what did you think when she went to France, staying at Hannah's cottage, and Henry shows up with Avery? What did you think that was plausible? I mean,
Well,
we find out later how it happened, but still, when you initially read it, it's like, huh? Or at least
yeah,
that's how I felt.
yeah, Henry just happened to pop up at the same cottage that she's staying at, and he basically doesn't try to hide his feelings for her. And her, her and Avery become friends when he is hospitalized. And his whole his whole being around her is mesmerizing. Not that, that she felt compelled to be with him because she did everything she could to sway him away. And in hindsight, she did. But it was through no act of theirs. It's because Avery left. And he left and went back to the States. But then that started a whole new realm of thought because he then let the secret out that he actually thought that his father's friend was the one that actually had something to do with Baz's death and the destruction of Old Moon.
Well, Yeah, no, I'm in agreement, but I'm thinking, well, okay, let's go ahead and carry this thing out with Henry and get it over and done with and move on to other people. Um, at the very end, he finds out that there was another robbery of a similar jar made by a slave potter. I sort of felt that she left us the author sort of left us guessing in regards to, well, is he ever going to tell Evie? Or I reread it again and said, he got in contact with his father, and his father, and his father's friend, I think the insurance man Harris, in regards to, oh, could these be the same people that robbed the Freemans? So that's you're sort of left up in the air with Henry. But I am glad that Sol did what she did when she saw him. She said she was going to do it when she first found out about the wedding, when he stood her up at the wedding, Evie at the wedding, and when he finally came, fessed up, and the guilt finally got to him, and he figured that he might as well just say what really happened, and this France, being in France and all that, and Sol winds up slapping him. So do you feel that was justified?
I feel that that was justified. And as a follow up to what Dana was saying, I agree that Henry was a jerk, but I also thought it went a little off track when Henry was missing and both Abby and Avery were already kind of thinking maybe he had some parts of this person being found dead. I just thought, where's this going? And then it was like, oh, he fell and hit his head and dropped his phone in the water. That's why he was missing for a day or two.
Now, initially, before we found out what that accident that happened, that separate accident that happened to Henry, did you think that might have been, with this woman being killed? Did you think that Henry had something to do with it?
Yeah.
I thought that's where it was going. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I did too. Because, yeah. I'm getting ready to say it might have made the story even more interesting, but we'll leave it at that. How do you going back to Old Mo? It says, how do you feel the novel explores the concept of inheritance? How Old Mo was passed down through the Freedman family. And think about your own family. Is there a family treasure that is passed down in your family, and how would you feel if it was destroyed or stolen?
Well, we don't actually have a family treasure in the family, but then a legacy at any rate is precious to a family. And if it's destroyed or sold or no longer a part of the family, it's a void left there because it's nothing to link the past with the future.
And that also makes me ask, along with Baz, because I mean he's a human being, and I felt that old old Mo was treated as a human being. Do you feel that not only Abby, but her father, Ed, her mother, Soul, had attachments to? Do you think that they were mourning both Baz and old Mo?
Yes, yes, very much so.
And the bottom line is too, I still contend that Henry was keeping secrets, but Ed was also keeping a major secret
Hmm.
throughout.
Yeah, yeah, because his having, he actually had almost reconstructed, and they never even knew that he gathered the pieces from the wreckage when they sold the home after Bag's death. And all this time, all these years, which was more than 20 years, that he kept the secret from Abby Ansel about the big Omo being reconstructed, that he had been secretly going back to potters and having them reconstruct Omo. And he just kept it to himself, even the fact that he had gotten insurance money from it. He didn't want her to know anything about any of that because he thought he was keeping it from harming them feelings about Omo and Baz, because he actually was attempting to save Omo, which caused his death.
And so that was, I was, yes, who knows how much it would have cost to put, old Mo back together again. Obviously, it was, he had to find the right potter to be able to do something like that. So the costs, financial costs, but it was also an emotional cost, for all of them, but particularly for Ed to physically go back to that house where Soul, she just didn't want anything to do with it. She just couldn't, she couldn't bear going back. And I could definitely understand it. I feel like I would personally, I feel like I would be like Soul, that I couldn't bear going back, to see the tragedy.
I feel, Ed's secret was bigger than Henry's secret. And I can also relate to having a kind of a family heirloom. I mean, we kind of have symbols of things that store things that our elders had, like a cob corn pipe. An aunt, grandmother used to smoke on the porch and curse the bucker every afternoon. And we also have a trophy that every year we have a Christmas program or a program on Christmas Day. We call it the Christmas program. And there's a trophy. And so my uncle came up with the idea of it being a pyramid with bricks on the bottom with the elders' names on the bricks, the foundation. And then every year, anybody who did anything exceptional, their name is on the pyramid. So we had the trophy made when I had a job in Thailand once, and it was shipped. But when it got to Charleston, the top of the pyramid was chipped off. So they remade it in Thailand and shipped it over. So we have the second one that's perfect and has all the initials on it. But over the years, and especially in the past few years, I'd say in the past 7 years, it's every year whoever wins the trophy, they get the trophy with their name on it and they keep it until the following Christmas program. They send it back. But in the last few years, something has happened emotionally or tragically, and if the person had gotten the trophy for that year, we would have lost the trophy. So I actually still have the trophy, but it's a materialistic thing. I always say when you put too much love and um, attachment to something materialistic, it's a little off to me. Like I always try to reel myself back in. If I can't find a piece of jewelry or something that I love around the house, I'm like, well, it's materialistic. Don't get so attached to materialistic things. It's more about having family and relationships and stories that we can pass on than the materialistic thing. So, with that said, we still have the trophy. And with that said, I do think Ed had a bigger secret than Henry. And his was, if they really had taken the story in another direction, we would probably be more angry at Ed than at Henry.
Hmm.
That
That's an
secret that
interesting.
he carried, that was a big secret to keep from his wife. And all the things that he could have helped Abby with if she knew kind of over the years. I mean, that was a long time from 10 to 29 or 31, however, was she finally found out that, he had the Big Mo repaired, that they still had the stick with the X on it, that he had insurance on it. I mean, yeah, okay, I've worked in Edgefield as well. And I've met some of those potters there, and I've seen the Dave, and I'm happy that, that's another reconciliation with that family, with Dave the Potter. And also, when you really do some history, and you see that in Charleston, the urban enslaved were much more educated than the plantation enslaved. The urban enslaved were urban enslaved because they knew different languages, they had different cultures that they brought from all over the world, and their masters use their attributes, different languages, for instance, and different culinary arts, and how I would say just off the chain downtown Charleston was in the 16, 17, 1800s because of all the culture and the enslaved people that they brought from around the world who could read contracts, read Spanish, read Portuguese, read Dutch, and they would do all these deals for the masters, but at the same time, the ones that were on the plantations, they had to sneak and learn how to read. They had to sneak and learn how to do all kinds of things. So Edgefield is kind of far. It is in the kind of boonies. And then too, there are the enslaved who were potters. I mean, we don't even really talk about that being such a great skill. We talk about tailors and bakers and chefs and blacksmiths,
Okay.
but we never talk about potters.
Right. You bring up some excellent points. Thank you. Um, one of the things that well, let me go back. I'm glad that the author did highlight, and she mentioned in her comments in the author's note that, we usually think of the enslaved toiling in the fields, but we really don't think about, oh, they did other things, and pottery was one of them. There's a section in the book where she talks about how they had badges, the enslaved had badges to work in the city. Now, the nomenclature is a little bit different now because, again, this is something that was highlighted several times in the book, that words are important. And she identified what we call now tags as badges. And there's been several books written on slave badges, but they're really tags because it goes to, when you think of a badge, it's a badge of honor. It really wasn't a badge of honor, even though the enslaved, if they saved their money, they were able to buy their freedom from the little bit of money that they obtained by working in the city and getting those small wages. Most of the time that they had to first pay their enslaver, and then they could have, etched out a little bit of money for themselves, which many bought as I said, bought themselves out of freedom and bought their families out of freedom. Tag is now more an acceptable usage of that uh, of that process of what happened during that time period. So I did want to highlight that, but I appreciate your comments, Dana. And I also agree with you in regards to, yes, these things are material and we shouldn't attach all our emotions on materials. I'm also looking at things that, when we do have treasures, they hold memories, they hold stories. So that's one of the things that I'm going to highlight when we do that brown bag on everyone has an archive. Sometimes those memories aren't good, but they're still memories. So thank you for sharing the story about your trophies, your trophy and how it's traded off various times. So anybody else would like to add to that, or Carlise, Crystal? We haven't heard from you, Crystal, tonight.
Well, I had read this book last year, so I'm listening, and some of the stuff is coming back to me.
Okay, well, overall, generalization, how do you feel about the book?
Well, I enjoyed the book when I read it, and some of the points you all had hit on, I agreed with that, Henry was a jerk. And I thought that he called off the wedding because he felt guilty with the secret he was carrying. And I didn't think he could, continue to be with her without telling the secret. And so I think that was one of the reasons why, he called it off, but he was still a jerk in general, I thought.
And let me go back, Dana, because the word about secret. Maybe I did use the wrong term for the beginning. He wasn't honest. He wasn't honest to Ebby, and he definitely wasn't being honest to himself in regards to his feelings, his honest feelings about Ebby, and could he deal with the trauma? Could he deal with her trauma? I forget the term, and I have a lot. When I read these things, when I read these books, when we're having a discussion, I know we're going to have a discussion on them. I make a lot of notes, and I made a lot of notes because, as I said, this was an expansive book, but he was known to be not showing, not talking about his emotions, keeping things to himself. So it, it makes you wonder with the obviously things would have been different if he had been more honest with her from the beginning, saying, I can't deal with this. And maybe not only Ebby going to seeing a therapist, he was giving her that advice. He needs to see a therapist.
And as you're saying about him not being honest, one of the things that I thought was interesting was when she suggested that she would carry Baz's picture down the aisle at the wedding, and he didn't like that idea, but he said to her, "Oh, that's a great idea." So I mean, it's like, what kind of marriage was that going to be anyway?
Exactly.
Yeah.
one other glaring thing that's really not mentioned, but how old Mo was identified by Ed's friend. And it makes you, and then that the part where um, Ed's friend had brought a couple over, and he knew Ed's friend knew the value of the jar made by an enslaved potter. So it makes you wonder. It's like, your friends. It makes you question about your friend, the people that you have over. And he didn't really invite these people over, but his friend did. So that was a big red flag to me. And
Whatever happened to the two guys? Like how they never talked about how the robbers, they never
right,
talked about like they're conscious of the one who shot the kid, or they never got caught.
and maybe I read this wrong. I don't know. I got the impression that one of them was a female.
Really?
Yeah, I got that impression too.
Hmm. From what?
Okay, let me go back to the book.
What? Abby said it was two men. They talked
Right,
like they were two guys together.
but
I don't know. I didn't feel that at all.
but
But
it
But I
sounded
did
towards
like
the
feel like,
end,
hmm,
they were a couple.
was it the guy who was killed in 9/11? I mean,
He was a mastermind.
he's the one that set it up.
Right.
he's the
He
collector, the insurance guy.
No,
no, he
no,
Yeah,
wasn't.
not the
Turner.
insurance guy.
Turner is the collector. He's the one who had the collection, and his wife is the one who went on to sell it. And that's how they figured out some of the things about the pottery, and Turner being the person who was trying to get the pot, who collected the pottery. That's what the robbers said.
And in
The
that
robbers said that
part
they worked
where
for
they were,
Turner.
and in that part where they were talking about it, something that was said made me think that one of the robbers was female.
Right.
Hmm.
Because they both had jobs, and they didn't, after the killing, which was obviously by mistake, because Boz was like, they kept saying, well, show us where it is. And he's like, then no, and they kept saying, oh no, and they started getting nervous, and one of them shot him. That's how he was killed. Because I mean, they didn't plan on shooting. They just wanted the jar. But I'm still looking. I'm sorry. But anyway, while I'm looking, we could still talk. Because yeah, I feel that this book had a lot of twists and turns to it.
It did. And like I said, we should really probably be just as mad, if not madder, at Ed as we are at Henry.
For different ways, for different reasons.
His secret went a lot longer than Henry's secret. His secret was 20 years
Right.
old.
True. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it wasn't malicious. It's just that, pottery can be repaired. The pieces can be repaired. Him going as far as getting insurance on it was a little different. I mean, they had enough money. I don't know why he needed insurance on it, but I guess if you have a piece of art that's worth $200,000, what do you think?
Yeah. Hello. That's another thing I'm going to talk. I mean, I have no in with an insurance company, but that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about when we're talking about inventorying your treasures. It's like, I live in an apartment and I have to have renter's insurance. So,
Mm-hmm.
obviously it's for the actual um
Replacement.
the rental agency, but it's also covering me and what little bit I do have that I
And
deem as a
replacement
treasure.
value.
Right. And that you should be able to identify. I mean, then it depends on how much you put on your insurance rider for, extra things.
I don't know. They seem rich enough that I don't know if I would have gone that far. Because he put it on after it was broken.
Say that again, Dana. I'm sorry.
I said, okay, but he put the insurance on after the jar was broken.
I don't know if you could do that.
I it's a little weird there, but didn't he say he put the insurance on? He didn't insure it before they had it. I mean, did you think he insured it when they were kids, when they moved up there, when he got it from his mom and his dad?
I would think.
If so, she would have known that. Uh, sh right? She would have known that it was insured.
If he let her know.
Hmm.
Hmm.
There's a lot of secrets going on. They should call this secrets.
Okay, I did find a chapter. It's if you have your book, it's like breaking and entering. And I'm just, because I know that we're getting close to time. There's one more question that I want to ask, but it's 302 to 305. So says they still had the home they shared for 5 years. They still had each other. They would bide their time, act normal, then move to another state someday. Sort of ambiguous, but bottom line was whether they're a man and wife or just a couple, they were together. So that's just the impression that you get. Anyway, the last question is about old Mo. And of course, I found now we have a buildup of what was written on the bottom of the jar. So before we get to that actual buildup, because you're wondering when is this big reveal going to happen? What did you think was written on the bottom of the jar before you found out?
I had no idea, and I kept wondering if I had missed it. If it had been revealed earlier and I had just missed it. But it
Right.
wasn't until towards the very end that it was revealed.
Okay. It is the mind cannot be chained. The mind cannot be chained. So that's what Moses wrote on the bottom of the jar.
Moses Willis, right? It was Willis back then. And he changed to Moses, but
It was
that was
Moses.
after.
It was Moses that did it, and then Willis had to obtain the jar and
Okay.
traveled with it.
And Betsy was with Moses or
Who?
Willis? Was her name Betsy? No, what was the woman's name? Who he loved
Yeah,
and
that was
who's
Betsy.
Betsy? Becca. Betsy? Becca?
No, it was Betsy.
Betsy.
Betsy. Okay. Well, that made sense then. That was very deep.
Right. Especially for an enslaved person. You could chain a physical body, but you can't get to that person's mind, regardless of
True.
their status. Meaning their mind is their own. So that's how I take it. And at the very end, it goes over they are the words that Moses wrote after Betsy lost her life. They are the words that Willis saw before he decided to make a run for freedom. They are the words that Ebby's dad showed to her mom on the day that he led her into the family's library. And then the students have written the words exactly as they appeared on the jar. And this is after the jar they decided that they was going to turn the old Mo and share it with the world, literally putting it in a library, into a museum. So along with that statement, how do you feel about them turning the Freemans turning the old Mo to a cultural institution?
That's nice. Get rid of some of that responsibility. That was a lot. Especially since they didn't have any kid, grands, and who else would they pass it on to? And that's nice to share that. That kind of
It is.
pottery, that's really important to see.
And with Ebby writing the family, what had happened, giving it a narrative, giving it the history, a background to share. That was a good thing. I agree.
Mhm.
Selfless. So any final comments? Because we're a little bit over, but this was, as I said, I keep saying it is an expansive book, but it was a good book.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And if you didn't get a chance to read it, I definitely encourage you to read it or listen to it on Audible or Spotify or, well, not Spotify, but it is attainable virtually, so audibly. So I hope that you take part in any and all of the things that we have. And of course, we have a lot more going on at Avery. We have an oyster roast happening this Saturday. So if you're available, it's Dr. Butler. Are you still here? Are you still with us? I think I want to say it's from what, 2 to 6?
2 to 6, you got it.
Okay, great. I'll agree at
Seashore Farmers Lodge.
Seashore Farmers Lodge this Saturday. So you can spread the word
Thank
with
you.
that too. Thank you. Thank you,
Hey, I'm
everyone.
reading
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on, Dana.
I was going to say, I'm reading a book that I think you would really like. It's called Sky Full of Elephants. Have you ever read that?
I think I have it on Audible.
By Sibo Campbell?
Yes.
It's really
Yes.
good. I think
So somebody
you
gave
really
me
like
that
it.
book, and it seems like he's coming out with another book, or came out with another book.
Really?
So yeah, now you're probably the third person that has recommended that book. I like it. So
Me too.
I'm gonna listen to it. I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna listen to it.
Okay.
A side note book to add in there is Happy Land.
Yes, I have
Okay.
that too.
So I didn't get a chance to finish reading American Queen, but I think it's the same kind of topic. It's
Okay.
tackling that same area, but it's so good,
Yeah, Happy Land.
and it sounds like it's doing the same thing this book does, the back and forth between the past and the present. So just a Happy Land. I wish I had read it earlier because the author came to Charleston for the literary festival. And so just putting that out there. So yes, Sky Full of Elephants and Happy Land. We all got books to read.
We always have books to read, and we're booked up in regards to books that we are doing each month up until November. So we're looking at next year, possibly, along with classics. I want to start doing some more classics, delving into classics. So, but that will be next year, okay? But
Okay.
I thank you everyone for joining, especially Dr. Butler, our esteemed
Yes.
Executive Director of the Avery Research Center for African American History and Culture. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
You too.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.